We are your home theater and AV questions answered. This is AVRant. Want your home theater or AV question answered by Tom and Rob? Send it to question@avrant.com. Welcome to AVRant. I'm Tom Andry, and I'm here with
Rob H.
There we go. Kris completed his gaming PC build. He's using an NVIDIA GTX 1080 Ti graphics card connected to
high-end,
to HDMI, connected via HDMI to his Marantz SR7010 AV receiver and Epson 5040 UV projector. His PC can output 4K at 60 Hz, since Epson can accept the signal, but the Epson still uses the native 1080p resolution panels and wobbles them for pseudo 4K output. Should he set his PC 4K for 1080p output? No, it can accept 4K, right?
But the 5040 UB does have a limitation of it can only accept 4K at up to 30 frames per second.
All right. Well, then,
and this is a gaming PC.
Yeah, you got to be able to,
where you want the high frame rate.
Yeah, you're going to want 60 Hertz.
Yeah, so I would say in this instance, because of the limitations of the 5040 UB, set your PC to output 1080p at 60 Hertz because you want the high frame rate. That's more important than this higher resolution coming from the graphics card that's actually going to get downscaled by the Epson and then wobbled, right? So much better to have the higher frame rate.
So he's not quite sure what the rest of the graphic card's output settings should be. Desktop color depth only has one option, 32-bit. But output color depth can be 8 BPC or 12 BPC.
That's bits per channel.
Right, and I'm guessing the higher one is the better one. Output color format can be RGB, I hate saying this one, YCBCR422 or YCBCR444, and output dynamic range can be limited or full. So what are the correct settings? I'm going to guess. You ready? This is what I would set to see whether or not I could see anything. I would go 12 BPC.
Okay.
I would say, I think the difference between the 444 and the 422 are literally zero. I think that you can get the same thing. So I would go 444, and if that one didn't work, 222 for the YCBCR. And the output dynamic range would always be full. How is that close?
I think I would actually change all of those.
Yay!
The full might be true. So first of all, the 32-bit desktop, that is your RGB, red, green, blue, and the alpha channel, which is the transparent channel, which is what your mouse is actually moving on. So the alpha channel is a transparency channel, so that's how you end up with 8 bits per channel, but 4 channels, one of them being transparent. That's how you end up with 32, so that's what that is. I would set your color output depth at 8 bits because I'm not even sure the 5040 accepts a 12-bit
Like I said, I'd see if I could see something. If I can't see
it,
you could.
I'm surprised there isn't a 10-bit output option, because if there were a 10-bit output option, that's the one I would choose.
All right.
But since you're sending a 1080p signal anyway, I don't know what that 5040 UB is going to do with a 12-bit 1080p signal. I suspect that might not be compatible. So 8 bits per channel is definitely going to work. So I would be sure that that's going to work. The output color format, this is for gaming. So I would leave it at RGB. I'm like, let the computer do its thing and output an RGB signal. Converting it over to the video YCBCR signal, I'd want to do that if it were home theater PC and all I'm doing is watching movies on it. But if you're gaming, I'm like, just leave it at RGB. Now, normally the output dynamic range, if you're watching movies, it should be set to limited, and you should be using YCBCR color output for movies and for videos.
But which one? 4422 or 444?
That's going to depend on what the Epson does with it.
All right.
Because you're going to just have to see, because sometimes it screws up a 444 signal, and sometimes a 444 signal is the only one that looks correct. So that one is just trial and error. But for games, RGB and full on the output dynamic range should be the correct setting. But what you'll want to do is have a look at it. Try both, because what should happen is full sends out the entire signal range from 0 to 255. You get all of those values, whereas limited takes the values from 0 to 16 and says those are below black. And it takes the values from 235 to 255 and says those are above white. That's correct for video, but it's supposed to be incorrect for RGB games. But if you set it to limited and everything looks way too contrasty and black, then you know that should be on full. Meanwhile, if you put it on full and nothing ever looks truly black, everything kind of looks washed out and too gray, then set it to limited and that'll be correct. Again, it's a little bit of trial and error on those. But I'm guessing that 8-bit RGB full should be the correct settings.
All right. See, whatever. I don't know anything about this. Want your question answered? Send it to question@avrant.com. This is AVRant.
Now go out and listen to something.